What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Travis. Of course, you're watching TWA Motorsports. Today we are continuing on the Tahoe. Look, I should have the gaskets. Come to find out, this is a dormant intake. This is not a factory intake. I don't know what happened in the past. They require them to put a dormant intake on it unless they were looking for some additional power. Apparently they're bigger. I don't know, but that is why our gaskets didn't fit in the last video. But since I'm waiting on those and they're supposed to be here in a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and lift this thing up, and I think we're gonna attempt to get the Y pipe on. So that is what's in this box down here. So let's get this thing up. Let's start there and see where we get. Cool thing about this is pretty simple. You've got a stock connection piece to your stock catback, which is what I plan on using. I've got a Y pipe and an extension pipe. Pretty dummy proof. So what we'll do is we'll probably get this one up into place first. I also got the clamps, obviously, that go with this thing, but let's see if we can get it up in there. I don't think it's going to be too rough. Now, one of the things I was kind of afraid of, and the reason I didn't tighten down my transmission is because I figured we would have to move it back down, at least that center section, because this piece just isn't going to go back far enough to get on the header without having that out of place. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to unhook this that we had holding the headers up. I'm going to move that out of the way, and then we're going to attempt to get the screw jack under the transmission and let the pressure off that go ahead and pull that cross member back out of the way until we get the exhaust fitted, and then we can put it in for the final time. I actually didn't even have to take it all the way out. I just took one bolt out of this side and the two out of this, and dropping it down gives me the room that I need with the transmission supported. So I'm going to go ahead, slide that on. You can see I've got this side on, well, loosely. But anyway, I try to put my clamps all in the same spot, so I'll probably put the clamp on the inside for this, and I'll grab a second clamp for this guy here. Probably the easiest Y pipe I've ever put on in my life. Got it shoved all the way up here, so now I'm going to slide these clamps where I kind of want them. I'm going to cinch this guy down. I've already swung that back up into place. I haven't tightened the motor or the transmission mounts yet, but this thing's a little lower than I'd like, but look, it'll be fine. It's still higher than a lot of stuff, and it fits nice, guys. I have plenty of clearance away from, on my truck it seems like it was almost hitting there. It's close, but yeah, that'll work. And then I put this third piece in. I did have to pull this out in order to line this up. We may have to tweak with that, I'm not sure yet, but anyway, it's kind of in place. So we're going to start up here. We're going to tighten these first, the two on the header, then the one on the crossover here, and then I'll probably wait on this one until I get this stuff all tightened up and back into place. Remember, we have our flex fuel sensor back here we need to sandwich back over. After we tighten the inners, we'll slide this guy back in place, put the two other bolts on it, or nuts on it, and then we got to tighten this as well. I got all the bolts tightened. I had to come up with my own bolts here. Looks to seal okay. These slip fits never 100% seal, but I did go ahead and tighten up the 21 millimeters here, the 21 millimeters here, and then I swung this back into place, got that lined up. This rear O2 sensor we won't be using, but I am going to go ahead and try to clip, I know this stuff's kind of brittle, but try to clip this stuff back into its proper position. And then what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to reuse I've got my O2 sensors out of that. I'm going to see if I can reuse them. I've actually got one out. 7/8 is what you need. These thread in a weird spot, but I don't necessarily know if I'm going to need an extension. I may. I don't know yet, but I'm going to go ahead and plug those in. I don't have the wiring routed down here yet. You could see it up there. And the reason I don't have it routed down here is because I don't have anything plugged in yet. Oh, I forgot to plug these grounds in too, guys. Let me do that while I'm down here. Got that ground hooked up, but I also forgot that my oxygen sensor plugs in right there. And so no extension needed. And the other one plugs in right here on the top of the frame rail. So I got both those plugged in as well. Next, let's see here. I think I've got everything on the bottom buttoned up that I need. However, like I said, I think I may end up having to pull the starter out. I'm hoping not, but if I have to pull the starter out to put my flywheel locking tool in, that's gonna kind of suck. But I don't know any other way other than trying to pull this out and hold the flywheel while I torque the ton of torque it needs to get that bolt tight on the harmonic balancer. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there yet, but we'll see. I'm going to probably going to leave this plate out that belongs here for now until I figure out what I'm going to do there, but let's move on. Check it out. Got me some parts. I got NKG TR6s. I got the proper intake gasket seals for this turd. I also got a thermostat. So here's what I'm gonna do. I wasn't planning on doing this, but if you guys have ever tipped one of these intakes up on end, you'll know that they are completely full of oil. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this outside. I wasn't planning on doing this because I wasn't gonna take the throttle body off, but I'm gonna take the 10 millimeters off to hold the throttle body on, get it out of the way, and I'm gonna set this thing kind of right side up outside so we can see if we can drain some of the crap out of the inside of it. I might spray a little brake clean in there to help facilitate that. But while that's setting up like that, we're gonna go ahead and continue by doing the thermostat, possibly even the plugs. But let's get those tins off, get this thing tipped up outside. As far as thermostats go, nothing fancy, just a stock 187. I gotta go grab the housing. This guy will go right here. Check it out, this came with new bolts. I didn't even notice that. New thermostat seated. Just kind of go around and make sure that it sets in there like it's supposed to. I think we've got it. Might push down on it a little more and then we can swing it up into place, snug it down. Now I just snugged it down. I'm gonna go ahead at this point and torque it to 89 inch-pounds. It's not very much. Also, you can notice that I hooked the hose up, the bottom hose, once I snugged it up. But let's get it torqued down to 89 inch-pounds. Now for spark plugs, I've chosen to go with TR6s. So that's the part number. I'll try to list it in the description down below. I'm gonna double check that they're at 40 thousandths. That's what I want them at. And I'm gonna start threading these in. And as I go in, I'm gonna go ahead and push, once I get them snug, which I do by hand, I don't torque these. Once I get them snug, then I'm going to go ahead and put the plug wire on it and have it just kind of hanging out. And so when we're ready to put the coil packs on, I can just reach down, grab the wire, and snap it onto the coil pack. Good looking plug. Hopefully they're at 40 thousandths. We need to check. One other thing I just completely blew my mind and forgot to tell you, I put anti-seize on the threads of this guy, just a little bit. It's a steel thread, aluminum head. Sometimes they stick. Good idea to put some on there. This sucks. So I could continue to put the spark plugs in. I've got this bank done, passenger side, but the spark plug wires just aren't gonna work. I'm gonna have to get, like, I generally use MSD wires. When I did the plugs and wires on this was before I just did a tune-up when I first bought it, and they're just not gonna work on this thing. The MSD ones allow you to bend the boot, and so it keeps it away from the heat, but this front one is setting right on the header, so in my opinion, there's no sense in continuing snapping these on. I'm gonna go ahead and put that spark plugs in the other cylinder, but I'm gonna have to wait for a set of MSD wires. Just, man, bummer. Anyway, let's continue. I'll knock this other side out and then we'll see where I wanna go next. Now that I've let this set, it really didn't drain out as much as I thought it would, but I cleaned up like the runners and stuff, just spraying some brake clean in there. I've got a new set of gaskets, and these are so wild to me that they, I don't even know how they set in there. I'm assuming like this, maybe. Maybe they only go in one way. I'll have to experiment here and see. Oh, I think actually that's it. Okay. Interesting. This is so wild, guys. Never had one of these intakes, so this is new to me. Like I said, this is a Dorman, and supposedly they flow better. I don't love how those fit. Hopefully they stay in when we flip this thing upside down. Maybe they will. But I wanted to get new gaskets because that's just the way I do things. When I take stuff apart, for the most part, I put new gaskets in, and these look pretty worn out. So let's go around, put these in. Like I said, they're kind of slanted to where they only work one way. Now that I see, it makes a little more sense. So we'll push these in. And I got a new throttle body one too, as you can see. We'll use it, but I'll probably put this on and then put the throttle body on once it's in the truck. Let me get all these seated. We'll flip this thing over, see if we can get the map sensor plugged in, which was really wild that it's this far down on this intake. It's on the top on the original 5.3 intake. But let's get it seated in here. And then I'll flip it over and set it on the intake, get everything plugged up. This thing actually uses its own bolts, which I noticed were a little different than the factory, but we need to torque this thing down nonetheless. Fit perfectly, doesn't have any rocking back and forth, which is great, and it didn't when I took it off, which I didn't think it would. But anyway, we need to torque this. So we're going to work our way from the middle out. So basically 1 in the middle on this side, 2 on the other side, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Or you can start over here, just working that middle out pattern. 44 inch-pounds for the first pass, and then 89 on the second pass. Got the intake torqued down. I went ahead and tried to hook up some of the stuff that was unhooked. So we got our NOx sensor that plugs in here. We've got our fuel lines. I did get the evap line threaded through the back and pushed on the evap line. Remember the one I said would be really hard when we were removing it. I did hook up the injectors, which is just pushing them in and pushing the locks down, and the EGR, which comes up here, well, sorry, PCV, comes up here to the top of the intake, threads over, under, and then hooks to the back of the valve cover back there. Not sure, I don't love that routing because it's really close to the injector, but I think it'll be okay. Other than that, let's see what we want to do next. Oh, I hooked this line up to the vent off this valve cover. At this point, I'm literally waiting on plug wires to go any further there, because to me it's easier to put the plug wires on, then put the coil packs on, and once the coil packs are on, reach in there and just plug in the coil packs. So we got to wait on that. I guess, let me see if I can clean this up, the idler, and get it in place. I can go ahead and put it on next. This thing just goes on with 2 longer ones and a short one up against the water pump there. I actually got it upside down. That's the way it goes. Just like that. I cleaned it up a little bit. Yeah, looks better than it did. Torque those to 37 foot-pounds. We're also going to torque these at 37, but I need to get my rubber mallet and try to knock this down into place. Get our 215s in there. I think this is fine. I was going to wait on this until I got the coil packs on, but I think I've got enough room there. I don't think, however, I'm going to bolt this down so I can still lift it up and move it around if I need to. Now we got that accomplished. I did hook up the 10. I plugged in the alternator. I moved this plug up here for the throttle body when we're to that point. But I'm going to go ahead and put my belt on since we have awesome access to it right now. So we'll swing this out of the way. Like I said, I bought 2 new belts. There's the second one. Let's get that thing up in here, get it locked in. I've got the throttle body on now, cleaned it up a little bit. We need to torque these 10 millimeters to 89 inch-pounds. I did go ahead and put the line on there. I thought I was going to bypass it, but I decided not to. So let's get these torqued down to 89. And then I also got my new MSD plug wires, which will fit way better than what we had before. Those are Eldebrock. Let's look at the difference here between the spark plugs, okay? These are a little longer, but here's the main part that I like about these. This end on the MSD is bendable, so I can put it wherever I want it. I'm going to see if I can use these. These may get in the way, and it may not be worth it, but you can see how thick these are at the bottom, and there's nothing wrong with these wires. These are great wires, but they just don't have that bend when you're working with headers. So I'll list these in the description down below. Guys, I run these on just about everything. They always fit. I never have any issues. When you get into some of the other aftermarket ones, it just really depends on what header or manifold you're using. So let's get these plugged in. I like to, I mean, you can see that I got these plugged in, but they're touching. So I'm going to do that exact same thing. I like to put them in and let them kind of flip over to the side, and then we'll put the coil packs in and then plug it up. It makes your life easier when you're installing them. You can see what I'm talking about. Now I'm going to lift this up. I didn't bolt this down yet for that reason. I'm going to lift this thing up a little bit. See if we can sneak, and I actually may be able to go forward and then come back under to get the coil packs in here. I cleaned those up off camera. Got both coil packs on. Got Got the plug wires plugged in. I also put this top plate back on that holds our beauty cover. Don't forget to put this guy in that kind of holds your heater core lines. But look, the old one of these was destroyed, so I ordered a new GM one. Let's go get it and see if we can twist it into place. Hopefully, these things are always a pain, so hopefully I don't break it trying to put it in place. Okay, well, I guess if you buy GM parts, you get GM quality, because that went right in. Next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab this line out. We're gonna hook it up to the other side of the throttle body. We're gonna go back behind this. And then I think I'll go ahead and put my upper radiator hose in. I need to clean off my fans. I still do not have my fan controller. That's fine. We can do that after the fact. But I'm gonna clean off this, get that hooked up, probably get that upper radiator hose into place, and we'll see where we go next. I had a used set of fans, and I figured it'd be a good time to clean them and actually put those on before the upper radiator hose. So they go in this location. All these vehicles are actually made for them, so you just need the stock 13 millimeters that hold it in. It's similar to this. I'm gonna set those guys in there, and then let's put the upper radiator hose on. Got the upper radiator hose secured with the stock clamps. I put this little guy on that holds the coolant line that runs the throttle body. At this point, guys, I'm gonna start putting some oil in it. I'm gonna put, I put some in the filter, but I'm gonna go ahead and put 6 quarts in it. And then here, I'm gonna go ahead and start letting this fill up. So I'm gonna go grab some Dexcool and some distilled water, mix that 50-50, and I'm gonna fill this first. That way it can be bleeding off while I'm doing the oil. I still gotta do the crank bolt. I haven't forgot about that. I was worried about stuff getting in the way, but we'll be fine here with this amount of room. We're getting really close. Oh, intake. So for now, I'm gonna rob the one. I've got a MIT tube on the green truck over there, so I'm gonna put that on here for now because that's what I think I want to run. I think I replaced the filter in this thing recently, so we're just gonna use the stock filter. We're getting really close. I ran out of coolant. I'm gonna have to go and get some more. I'm using VR1 1030 just for the first maybe couple hundred miles, and we'll drain it out and go to like probably a Mobil 1 530. I don't know. Look, this has a lot of zinc in it. You know, as much as I put on that cam, it's probably fine. This motor's ran before. It's not like a new build, but this is just what I choose to use. Kind of expensive. I'll try to list all this stuff in the description, but let's finish filling this up, get the intake on, and it's time to, I don't have to necessarily have that full to test start it. I'm sure somebody's screaming at the camera, don't forget the crank bolt. I've got it here. ARP style, this is from Summit. Look, you can get an ARP one if you want. I thought I'd try this. It's multiple use, but it seems to be the same makeup. I mean, I generally do an ARP, but I figured I'd try something different. I'm kind of concerned about this belt being so tight. We're gonna see if we can snug it up. 240 foot-pounds is what this goes to. I have a pretty good feeling I'm gonna have to lift this thing up, pull the starter out, put my locking tool in there, but I'll do that off camera. I am going to, this has a washer. I'm gonna put a little ARP assembly lube on the head of this, and that should make sure that we get a decent torque. Yeah, I was able to get the starter pulled back, and I got the locking tool in there, so now we should be able to, I'm gonna set it down to torque it, just because the angle right here, this piece is weird. 240 foot-pounds, that's a lot. You can see that I've got my elbow right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that on. It's just an Airaid, like I said, MIT. Just looks a little nicer, gets rid of that bellow. So let's get it in place, and it's go time. Got the battery hooked up. It didn't try to start, that's good. It's time. This is always the nerve-wracking part to me. Even though, look, this motor ran before, it's just always nerve-wracking. You never know what's gonna happen. Let's see if it'll start. Kind of tight quarters here, but I don't even know if the key's in it. Actually, the light's not on. That's weird. No oil pressure. There's oil pressure. Well, it started. about that belt. I'm gonna shut it off probably. No ticking. No more ticking, Tahoe. That's a win, boys. And girls, I guess. It's running. Now look, I haven't topped it off with coolant or anything, so we got to do that, but sounding good. I really need to get it off the lift so I can get a little more room to get in and out of it. That's the problem with two-post lifts, especially the way, normally if we had this facing the other way, this wouldn't be a problem, but I got to go get some coolant, and that's exciting.